was probably like, no, we want to spend money on making this special or some shit.
Well, my hair's gone now. The hair's gone.
Oh, just on the sides. You still got some length on the front.
No, it was longer before.
Well, I got a new fancy trimmer.
You did?
Yeah, I did. Anyway.
Anyways.
That was Grooming Corner.
Well, brought to you by Manscaped.
No,
what's the other one? Dollar Shave?
No, it wasn't one of those. It was
Gillette?
No, one of the
Old
other
Spice.
ones. No, anyway. We're not sponsored.
Venus.
Yes, I am your Venus.
I don't know. That's the extent of my razor knowledge.
No, it's one of those.
Or razor.
It's not a razor.
Oh.
Anyways.
Okay. It's not a cool 90s scooter.
No, it's not.
All right. Let's get started then.
Let's.
And welcome back to another episode of the Media Boat Podcast, your weekly episodes for talk about movies, TV, music, and video games. Not necessarily in that order. My name is Mike. His name is Matt.
My name is Matt. His name is Mike. Thank you for joining us for episode 369. Music.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah, something like that.
Low.
Yeah, 369. This is February. Hey, February, everybody. February the 4th, 2023. Thank you for joining us today. This is the Media Boat Podcast. Everything that he said is true. And yeah, we have some stuff to talk about this week. Some stuff is happening in all the worlds of media. So let's talk about it. Let's start where we always start.
Yep, we always start with the music section.
Yes.
We start the music section with the Billboard, and we start the Billboard with the Hot 100. And once again, your hottest song in the land is Flowers by Miley Cyrus.
Yeah.
Coming at 2, Kill Bill by SZA. At 3, Anti-Hero by Taylor Swift. At 4, Creepin' by Metro Boomin, The Weeknd, and 21 Savage.
Mm-hmm.
And rounding out your top 5, Unholy by Sam Smith and Kim Petras.
If that sounded familiar, it's because this didn't change from last week.
No, it did not.
But your Billboard 200 did.
Yes, it did.
Slightly.
So for your albums chart, your Billboard 200, at number 1, SOS by SZA. At 2, Midnights by Taylor Swift. At 3, Mansion Music by Trippie Redd. At 4, The Mockingbird and the Crow by Hardy. And rounding out your top 5, Heroes and Villains by Metro Boomin.
So yeah, Trippie Redd and Hardy coming into the top 5 here, moving some stuff down. But SZA, 7th week at number 1 with SOS.
Yep. That Hardy, by the way, is that Hardy from this past weekend's WWE event.
Wait, really? Like those Hardys?
No. But Hardy was at Royal Rumble
like a publicity
last weekend.
Okay, I know that there are some Hardys that wrestle, but he's not a wrestler?
No.
Okay.
No.
This Hardy is not a wrestler?
Yes, no. Not to be confused with the wrestlers of the same name, Hardy. No, he showed up because he
did
the
crime-solving teenagers, the Hardy Boys.
Well, I believe they are fictional, therefore cannot have offspring.
I don't know.
Unlike the Offspring,
which
can't have offspring.
I bet the Offspring do have offspring.
Do they form a band just called the Offspringings?
Yeah, the Offspring's offspring.
Or the Offspringers?
Jerry Offspringer. Anyways,
if you didn't like any of those albums or that rant, we have new releases.
Yeah, we do.
We start with Barefoot on Diamond Road by Amber Arcades. Norm by Andy Schaaf. The Land, the Water, the Sky by Black Belt Eagle Scout. I feel like that's just a knockoff of Earth, Wind, and Fire.
No.
Or Earth, Fire, Air.
No, I actually am interested in that one. I like Black Belt Eagle Scout. I listened to her first record a few years ago.
Okay.
So yeah, looking forward to that one.
All right. We also have The Future Is Your Past by Brian Jonestown Massacre. This Stupid World by Yo La Tengo. And your 2 big albums of the week.
Big? One of them maybe, but the other one?
One of them is Let Her Burn by Rebecca Black.
Have you been following? Not following. I guess that implies an active looking.
Yes.
But do you vaguely know what Rebecca Black's career trajectory has been going.
Not since the incident.
So no, very different from her Friday days.
Yes.
She's now a like an EDM artist. She does like hyperpop dance music.
Was that Katy Perry's influence?
No. Even more so than Katy Perry. Like think more like the more harsher Charlie XCX stuff.
Oh.
Or like Sophie, R.I.P. That kind of vibe. That's what Rebecca Black does now. Fun fact.
Really?
She's a hyperpop artist.
Okay.
So yeah, I assume that's what this is.
That's weird.
I know. Yeah, she found a niche. Good for her.
I mean, it is definitely a very far departure of her.
Not that far,
infamous.
but yeah.
Not that
far.
Okay.
It's still pop music.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just not. She doesn't have some sort of shadowy executive type telling her what to do, which is probably good.
That's probably.
But hey, everything move out of the way though, because there's one major record coming out this week.
Yep, and this is why.
Yeah, this is why. Paramore.
Yeah, Paramore.
Paramore's new record. Very excited to hear the rest of this. We've already heard a handful of singles, which I've loved all of them. So I'm ready. I am prepared for a new Paramore record.
You want more of Paramore?
Yes, I am very excited for this.
We will be listening to it next week, and we will talk about it next week's podcast.
But in the meantime,
we do have to get through some music news.
Some big ones.
Well, it's the big one.
Yeah.
Well, technically, there's two big ones.
Yeah, two big news
on which side
today.
You're out. Yep. The first bit of music news is that, as expected, pick up the phone. We kind of called it.
Well, I mean,
then again, everyone kind of figured this was happening.
Yes.
Beyonce has announced a 2023 world tour.
Yeah.
On Instagram.
Well, yeah.
Well, no, the tour is not on Instagram.
Yeah.
She's announced it on Instagram. I'm sorry if that was ever confusing. The tour will be supporting her multiple Grammy-nominated 2022 album, Renaissance. She also released the dates and cities on her official website.
Yeah.
The timing of the announcement, which comes just days before the Grammy Awards on Sunday, tomorrow, as of this recording, sparks some speculation that she may perform or, at least appear on the show.
So, note about this. Since this story ran, I think yesterday, I did see a headline that said the Grammy organization did confirm that Adele, Beyonce, and Taylor Swift are all there. They will all attend the ceremony tomorrow night. None of them are scheduled to perform.
But they will be
in the room. So just know that, and they did also say that they're hinting at a surprise performance. So any of the three could be that surprise performance. But yeah, I would agree with the story. So my money was on Beyonce.
So all three of them fall under the and more category?
Yeah, I guess so. They said that there will be, and Trevor Noah, who was the host this year, has more or less also said this as well. It's like, oh, it's going to be a surprising big night. Like, stay tuned, kind of hinting. So I would not be surprised if Beyonce is that secret performer.
Well, even if she's not performing, at least her husband, Jay-Z, will indeed perform with DJ Khaled on another one. I mean, it's on their nominated song, God Did.
So if you want to hear DJ Khaled say God Did more, well, tune in tomorrow night.
Because God did.
God did.
Yep. Beyonce performed her first full concert in 4 years on January 21st at the new Atlantis, the Royal Resort in Dubai.
Right.
See, I thought that was going to be the bigger story.
No, that's just a footnote.
Just a footnote that, Beyonce performed in Dubai because oil money. It was an elaborate and highly theatrical performance for which sources say she was paid some $24 million with an all-female orchestra, a battery of dancers, a small lake, fireworks, a 50-foot hydraulic platform, not one, not two, but 3 costume changes for the singer, and a guest appearance from her daughter, Blue Ivy.
Took you a while to get there.
Well, yeah, I had to build up to go to distract from her husband to her daughter. But No songs at all from Renaissance.
Interesting.
A tease that could mean she'll premiere one or two on the Grammys, or even save them for the tour.
I would imagine that's probably the latter. If I was to guess, I think that
Yes.
Beyonce's strategy typically for when she does something big with her records is to play it from front to back. Like that's what she did with the videos for the self-titled and for Lemonade. I imagine that this tour is kind of in place of where a visual like companion would go, which means this thing is going to be, she's going to play the entirety of Renaissance, so she doesn't want to tease it. That's what my guess is. Maybe we see a song at the Grammys, but I think that that's probably it.
How elaborate can it be?
We know Beyonce goes big, and this implies that she already has plans to go big. And yeah, no, this thing is going to be enormous.
So is this performance in Dubai plans to go big, or is just we're writing you a blank check, do whatever you want?
I say why not both? I think that Beyonce already has a reputation for, if she's going to do this, she's going to have complete creative control over it, and it's going to be huge. So why not both?
Why not
both?
Okay. Tickets will go on sale.
They're going to be impossible to get.
Exorbitant dollars.
I'm going to tell you right now. Don't even try.
Ticketmaster will once again be sued.
Yeah. Don't even try. Don't even try. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that Beyonce is a bigger artist than Taylor Swift. I think this is going to destroy Ticketmaster.
Just these two artists.
I mean,
coming off of Taylor Swift, which was not that long ago.
Going to be insane. I do not recommend you try. Anyone listening to this, please don't bother.
But if you are listening to this, one, thank you. Two, you can always email us your thoughts on Beyonce at mediabotepodcast@gmail.com.
Sure. But yeah, interesting nonetheless. And it's a perfect segue into our second story here, which is really just not really a story. It's, hey, the Grammys are tomorrow. Let's talk about the major categories.
Yes, major categories. So, Grammys are tomorrow. Beyonce will do Grammy stuff.
So,
may or may not do Grammy stuff.
Let's bring up let me bring up a note, or if you want to type one out on our Google Drive here.
Yes, I do.
Let's write down our predictions and see how well we do tomorrow night. We're not going to do all of them. The Grammys are notorious for having like 75 billion categories.
We're just going to do some of the main.
We're going to do the televised ones, is what we're going to do, which is, I believe, most of the general field. So it's just so we know what's going into tomorrow night, where our hearts are, where our predictions are.
All right. So
let's start from the top.
Record of the year.
All right. So this is specifically for the producers, engineers, and mixers and mastering. If other than the artist, this is not a songwriting award. This is a production award. So give us our nominees.
We have, in alphabetical order by artist.
Yeah.
Don't Shut Me Down by ABBA.
Okay.
Easy on Me by Adele. Break My Soul by Beyonce. Good Morning Gorgeous by Mary J. Blige. You and Me on the Rock by Brandi Carlile, featuring Lucius.
Okay.
Woman by Doja Cat. Bad Habit by Steve Lacy. The Heart, Part 5 by Kendrick Lamar. About Damn Time by Lizzo. And As It Was by Harry Styles.
All right. Who do you have here for record of the year?
Who do I want to win or who's going to win?
This is a prediction. I mean, you can also tell us who you want to win here, but I think this is a prediction.
Okay. I'm going to go with actual winner, Beyonce. But I kind of want either Lizzo or Harry Styles to win this. They're the more popular of the ones listed here. But the production on Break My Soul, I think trumps everything else here.
I agree. That's exactly where I'm at with it. I think Break My Soul is the winner here. I think since this is a production award, looking at all these nominations, it's the best sounding and most elaborate and detailed track, which I think that gives it the win. My heart, though, if I was choosing, leans more towards Easy on Me or As It Was. They're not like as, bells and whistles-y, but I think they're better songs. Not that Break My Soul is not a good song. I'm just saying that in comparison, I of those options, I'd rather probably listen to As It Was.
Right, but that's why they separate that out to
Right.
Song of the Year.
That's not even talking about. I'm just talking about sound here. I'm
Yeah.
not even talking about writing. But yeah, you're probably right. For the same reasons, I'm going to agree with you. Yeah, Break My Soul probably wins.
Yep. So before we get to Song of the Year, we have to talk about the Album of the Year. So the awards.
It's everybody.
Yes. This is everyone featured on the album.
Yeah.
And then again, in alphabetical order by artist. Voyage by ABBA. 30 by Adele. Umbrella Senti by Bad Bunny. Renaissance by Beyonce.
Mm-hmm.
Good Morning Gorgeous Deluxe by Mary J. Blige. In These Silent Days by Brandy Carlisle. Music of Spears by Coldplay. Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers by Kendrick Lamar. Special by Lizzo. And Harry's House by Harry Styles.
This one's a little harder for me.
So 2 of these albums were on my top 5 last year. Both Lizzo and Harry Styles.
I think that there are 3 for me that are in contention, and the rest are not. I think this is a 3-way battle, in my opinion, between Adele, Bad Bunny, and Beyonce. When I think traditional Grammy voting, it's Adele. When I think, I think that's probably where they lean, just the general populace of who votes, because they love giving Grammys to Adele.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Renaissance is probably the better record and probably should win more. And I think that Bad Bunny is the outside dark horse. I think Bad Bunny has such a huge, unbelievable year last year that I think it would be wild to me if they didn't honor him. I think that's the out of the 3, that's the one that should win. But because of that, I have doubts that it will. And so I think if you're then it becomes Adele or Beyonce. And I think if they give Record of the Year to Beyonce, they do Album of the Year for Adele. So I'm going to put Adele down. I'm going to put 30 for Album of the Year.
You're going to do Adele?
I think it's the safe pick. And that's why the Grammys are always safe. And so that's why I'm going to go with. I was wrong last year about fucking like the boring ass pick that they did last. I don't even remember what it was. I just remember it being boring. And so I'm not going to get it wrong this year. I'm going Adele.
All right. Well, in that case, I'm going to go with Bad Bunny.
All right. I don't
just for the exact reasons that you just said.
I think it's the correct choice. I think it's the one that makes sense culturally, where we are at in the world of music. Bad Bunny is the biggest artist on the planet right now.
I mean, Umbrella Senti was on the billboards, but then this is not a billboard.
This is not. Yeah,
this is Grammys.
Grammys rarely do that, and so I mean, it helps, but it's rarely about just the most successful. I think though the old men are going to push this towards Adele. As much as I believe you're right that Bad Bunny.
But Bad Bunny is not mono-genre, but multi-genre.
Right. Yeah.
He's across everywhere now.
Yeah.
So to not give one of the best-selling albums of last year, Album of the Year.
Not to say though, I should mention here, it's not just saying I'm not just saying Adele because Adele. I'm also saying 30 is a good sounding record. That thing works in the way that every Adele record works. And I think that if it did win, I wouldn't be mad.
I wouldn't be bad either, but are you comparing this Adele to the previous Adeles?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and I guess we should say maybe there's an outside chance for Kendrick here, but I don't think it's his year.
I thought about that for a second.
I feel like Bad Bunny is taking the place that Kendrick's record would if Bad Bunny wasn't there. And so, no, I think that there's probably not a chance for Kendrick. Also, it would be really disappointing if that's the Kendrick record that would win.
Right.
Because it's my least favorite.
Well, it would be then a makeup award.
Yeah. And I did see somebody say more or less, this could be Return of the King-ing Kendrick Lamar here.
Yes.
Which I don't think is fair to him.
No.
Anyway, so that's Album of the Year. Song
of the Year. And
Roddy, Aodi, and Sadi.
Yep. Song of the Year is for the songwriters.
So this is the writing category here, which changes the decision-making process, I believe.
So we start with in alphabetical order of the title of the song. A, B, C, D, E, F, U.
Okay.
About Damn Time.
Yes.
All Too Well. 10-minute version. the short film.
I don't know why it's specifically the short film version. Maybe that's how they get around with this being a re-record of an old song.
Yep.
But we'll get there.
As It Was, Bad Habit, Break My Soul, Easy on Me, God Did, The Heart, Part 5, and Just Like That.
What are your thoughts here before I start? Because I did the last one.
All right. So in terms of songwriting, I can see why they put All Too Well in here, the 10-minute version, but I don't think it's going to win because it is technically a re-recording.
I agree.
As much as I want to go with like Lizzo with About Damn Time and Break My Soul with Beyonce,
they don't have a chance.
No, it's gonna be. I think this is where you see Adele win with Easy on Me.
Okay. All right. That's fair. I agree with all the things you just said. I do think this is between. To me, this is Harry Styles and Adele. I think those are the two this is between.
Yep.
If Harry Styles walks away with the Grammy, it's this.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I don't know if he's nominated for pop performance. I bet he is. But yeah, I think that to me this is As It Was by a landslide. If I was choosing, I think it's the catchiest, best written song on this list. I love All Too Well, but I'm eliminating it from contention for the reasons that you said, because it can't compete because it's a re-record. It shouldn't be here, is my opinion. Right. Taylor herself said that she was not submitting her Taylor's versions to the Grammys on purpose.
That's why this is the short film version.
The voters found a way to get it in.
Yes.
And I don't think that's fair, and I don't think she should win. But this is tearing me. You already wrote me down as It Was, and I think I'm going to leave it. But man, this could so easily be Adele. And I think you're right for putting it here, because if she doesn't win Album of the Year, she easily wins here.
I'm putting this out here for Adele because it was the first song back after she basically disappeared for 6 years.
Yeah.
And it was a song of her basically coming out of COVID with it. And just a heart-wrenching, heartbreaking song that it hits everyone.
Oh, yeah. No, it's a good song.
And because it's specifically about the Songwriters Award.
But, and this is a big but, As It Was the most dominant song everywhere.
And?
I know, like we said, that's not necessarily something that sways voters a lot.
Yes.
However, we can guarantee that all voters have heard As It Was.
Yes, we can.
It was inescapable, and it's a great song. So I think that I'm gonna leave it here because I wish that it gets its due here, because I think it deserves it.
Well, we'll all just be upset when God Did win.
God Did will not win. I can tell you that. I think if we're talking about outside chances, maybe Kendrick
with The Heart Part 5.
I think that's the outside dark horse here, but I don't think he has the momentum.
All right.
So I think you're right.
All right.
All right, and then Best New Artist.
And then lastly, Best New Artist. We have Anita, Omar Apollo, Domi and J.D. Beck, Mooney Long, Samara Joy, Lotto, Måneskin, Toby Wee, Molly Tuttle, and Wet Leg.
So, this one's really hard because there's so many that I don't like. I feel like a lot of these are going to cancel each other out.
Wait, should I just not put Wet Leg for you already?
No, as much as I'd like to see Wet Leg win, there's no chance. I think that this is Måneskin, unfortunately.
You're going to go with Måneskin?
They're the ones that have the most recognition on this list. I think most people know what they are. They suck so much, and I don't want them to win a Grammy, but they probably will. I think it's Måneskin. If it's not, it's Lotto.
So my entire year of hyping up Måneskin for you, you finally joined the Måneskin train.
No, I'm not for them. I said that they suck, but they're probably going to win. It's against my wishes, against my better judgment, against any sanity. They're probably going to win this award. But yeah, I'd rather have anybody else on this list, but it's probably going to be Måneskin.
Okay, so that's one for Måneskin.
Okay. You're going for Anita? All right.
I'm going to go with Anita.
She's world famous. She's not as famous here in the U.S.
Yes,
but maybe this is why I'm a little less.
Yes, but it's also why she's falling into the Best New Artist category.
Yeah.
Best New Artist within the year.
Okay. Yeah, and again, I don't think Wet Leg has a chance, but man, that would be funny.
Yeah. Just to hear them announce Wet Leg.
Right, yeah. So probably not, but
yeah.
that would be fun.
Yeah. Well, I did watch Anita's set at Coachella last year.
Yeah.
It won me over.
A lot of ass.
Yes, there was a lot of ass.
I saw it. We watched the live stream.
Yes.
And I was like, there's a lot of ass.
But that was Anita.
So best ass was a Grammy.
Is this
what category?
This is? Best
no, not best. Most ass.
Most ass.
Most ass. I mean, Anita has a landslide, but unfortunately for her, that's not what this category is.
No,
it's Måneskin, and it's going to be awful, and they're all going to come up and make a stupid speech, and it's going to suck. Get ready, it's going to suck.
No, I'm going to say that's why I'm going with Anita, just to break that cycle there.
So that's general field. It's not the only; those aren't the only Grammys that will be televised, but that's probably good for our predictions.
Yeah, because then we go to best category. With
and I don't know how many of these. They change it every year, which ones they actually do.
Right.
So I don't know.
So in general, though, expect a battle between Harry Styles and Adele.
Yeah,
for pop.
I would imagine. Dance, I think Beyonce is going to sweep because she's the most recognizable artist in that category. Rock, I think you see Brandi Carlile win because she's Brandi Carlile and she's Grammy favorite.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to sweep the rock category she's in.
Yeah, but don't be surprised if Ozzy Osbourne gets in there.
Well, I feel like if he had announced his retirement earlier instead of this week, I think that then maybe that would have affected it. I don't think so.
Yep.
But man, would I love to see Turnstile win a couple of Grammys? I don't think it's going to happen.
Yep.
Same thing for Wet Leg in the alternative category, even though Big Thief should win.
Sweep alternative.
I hope, but I don't think that they will.
Okay.
I mean, it's going to be a pretty predictable night, I think, overall. I think you're going to see a lot of Beyonce, a lot of Adele, and a sprinkling of Harry Styles. That's my prediction.
All right. Expect Mary J. Blige for the R&B category.
Yeah, probably, seeing that there's that album of the year nod.
Yep. DJ Khaled with rap category.
No, that's Kendrick.
Kendrick?
That's absolutely Kendrick's.
Are they both in there?
If they don't do... if Kendrick's
not...
If Kendrick doesn't win... I saw somebody say, watch Jack Harlow win and Macklemore Kendrick. And I'm like, again. And I'm like, oh yeah, that could probably happen.
Yep.
Jack Harlow sucks so much. Country, I hope that Miranda Lambert
Yep, we're rooting for Miranda.
Although, you know what? I wouldn't be mad if Marin won.
Yeah, but then it's like, oh, Marin always beats out Miranda.
Yeah, I know. The Grammys do prefer Maren Morris.
Yes.
But Circles Around This Town is a great song.
Halloween is a great album.
Yeah, but so is Humble Quest. I don't know. I'm torn in the country categories this year between the two.
Yep.
But anyway.
So
tune in tomorrow. The Grammys will be tomorrow night, Sunday night, the 5th. Tune in and see if we're wrong.
Yep. See if we have another John Batiste winning out of nowhere.
Yeah, I feel like we're pretty good. We're pretty balanced here. I could see us at least getting all these right because of how we're divided on 3 out of the 4.
Yes.
If something else wins record of the year, though, we're out of luck.
Combined media vote will be 100%.
Hopefully.
Isn't that always how it goes? Just we go off a combined effort here.
I don't know. We'll see how Oscars go this week.
All right.
This year. Stay tuned a month from now. We'll see how that goes.
All right. So that was the Grammy predictions.
Yeah.
Anything else in music then?
No.
You mentioned Ozzy announcing his retirement.
Unlike last week, I did not listen to anything this week because I actually had to go to the office this week. So I got nothing to talk about with music.
All right, then let's move on into video games.
Yes, let's.
And we start with new releases.
New release.
Okay, yeah, singular, because everything got out of the way for some Wizard game.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about it. Just know that it's coming to next gen and PC this week, and don't buy it.
Yep, all the ads are everywhere for it.
Just ignore them. Let's move on.
Yep. All right, so let's get into some video game news then.
Yes, let's.
And we start with Respawn.
Yeah.
That company under EA.
Yeah, known for, of course, Titanfall, Apex Legends, and a game you've been playing recently.
Yes, Star Wars. Jedi Fallen Order.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the upcoming Jedi Survivor. Yes.
Yep. So, the unannounced Titanfall game, said to have been canceled by Electronic Arts this week, was reportedly being planned as a single-player experience for Apex Legends.
Yes.
That, of course, is according to Giant Bomb reporter Jeff Grubb, who shared supposed details on the canned project during a live stream on Thursday. The EA studio, Respawn, announced in July of 2021, I almost said last year there, no, of 2021, that it was developing a new single-player adventure game set in a unique universe, which designer Mohammed Alavi was attached to before his departure last year. According to Grubb, the unannounced project was Respawn's attempt at getting a Titanfall feeling project inside of its hugely popular free-to-play spin-off, Apex Legends.
So this story has some layers to it, because if you've been following the Respawn story, Titanfall 2 was a critically loved game back when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best first-person shooter campaigns I've ever played, that's for sure. It's a wonderful game, but did not do well enough to continue the Titanfall series in the same way, especially after the runaway success of Apex Legends, which is a free-to-play battle royale. So because of that, there were rumors for years now about, oh, well, if they're going to do a game that's like Titanfall, it'll probably be a spinoff of Apex Legends. So this week, when that Bloomberg report came out saying a first-person single-player game got canceled over at Respawn, EA pulled the plug on it, everybody was like, oh no, Titanfall 3! And then what Jeff Grubb went and said on his show is like, no, guys, it was never going to be a Titanfall 3. They were never going to make a Titanfall 3. As much as we'd love that, this was not what this was. Mm-hmm. And I think he's absolutely right. This was going to be an Apex Legends spinoff. It was going to have a character from Apex in a single-player game that was probably going to be available for people who play Apex Legends. And that's what EA killed. I would imagine that EA just looked at the financials and was like, well, why do something that isn't going to may give us like critical acclaim and word of mouth, but is not going to continue the money train of Apex Legends in the same traditional way? So they probably were like, no, everybody move to regular Apex Legends shit, because that's our golden cow, right? That's what makes us the money. That's what churns out the microtransactions. Don't waste your development time. I'm using in quotes here.
Yes.
Don't spend development time and resources on the single player experience that might win us some awards, but won't win us more money. It's probably they ultimately just made the decision.
You mean Electronic Arts made the business decision?
Yeah, probably. It sucks though. And I
Yes.
think everybody is right to be mad about this, because this could have been something that was close to that Titanfall 2 experience. And yeah, we're missing out on it. That doesn't mean, though, but there is the kind of silver lining to the story, which is because this wasn't a Titanfall product, that could mean that maybe the reaction to the story lights a light bulb above EA and be like, oh, people still care about the Titanfall name. Everybody was super excited for this. Maybe if we actually do put resources and development time into a Titanfall experience, maybe people will flock to it, especially considering that right now, EA's Dead Space remake, a single-player experience, is doing super well. It's selling well already, and it's been critically acclaimed. So if they take notes from what they've just done, release a very successful single-player game, maybe that'll give them more impetus. And well, yeah, and also depending on how Jedi Survivor does later in the year.
Yep.
I think if they do look at those results and then say, oh, maybe it is time. Maybe let Respawn make a Titanfall 3.
Well, that was the other thing that came out from EA and Respawn this week, was that Jedi Fallen Order was going to be delayed.
But only by 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So it's not that long to wait for it, just for some polish. I think that's probably better. When Fallen Order came out, the first month it was wrought with bugs. So it's good maybe to hold it off until, so they don't repeat that.
Oh, I still ran into some bugs.
I'm sure there's still some stuff floating around.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is smart for them to delay it. So yeah, EA calling shots here. Again, I think we're going to hear a lot of stories like this coming up to next month, because it's going to be the end of the fiscal year.
Yep.
And a lot of companies are going to have to decide going into next fiscal year what they're going to spend their money on. And I think that's why you also saw the other headline this week, which was every live game is gone. Or at least developers are pulling support for pretty much every major live game launched in the last year. Rumbleverse, Back 4 Blood, Knockout City.
Yep.
That's an EA game right there. Bunch of developers just like, no, we're just not paying for those servers going into next year.
Was it the other one? Marvel's Avengers.
Yeah, Marvel's
Essentially.
Avengers was a couple of weeks ago. They
Yeah.
announced that. So yeah, like it makes sense timing wise that this is when this happens. This happens every year. It's just it sucks because some of these games are under a year old.
Yep.
So if you didn't get to it, it's too late. I was hearing apparently for Rumbleverse, that's a unique case because they just rated the Switch version. The Switch version of that game isn't even out yet. And they announced that they were pulling the plug on the servers before that thing even launched.
Ooh.
He is right. It's bad news, but hey, that's video games for you.
Right. So let's do a crossover then.
Yeah.
Video games and TV.
Yes.
Where Nick Offerman was in the news this week.
Yeah, well, we aren't going to talk about every single week of The Last of Us.
Oh, can we talk about this?
I wish we could. We'll talk about it. We'll get there when we wrap up the series. But episode 3 was a very special episode. Let's put it that way. And Nick Offerman was its star.
Yes.
But he was doing the talk show circuit this week.
Yeah. So Nick Offerman, because he's going around talking about his starring role.
Yeah, his guest starring role, you could say.
Well, yeah, it's not a leading role, even though for the episode he was the lead.
Yeah, pretty much.
Of the adaptation of The Last of Us, he's saying that he hasn't actually played a video game in about 25 years.
Basically, he was on Jimmy Kimmel, and Jimmy Kimmel asked him, hey, so this is based on a video game. Have you played The Last of Us? And he was like, no. But, and then he told the story.
Yes, but the reason is because of one video game with 2 names.
Yes.
Banjo-Kazooie. So like you mentioned, Offerman was guest with Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah.
On Jimmy Kimmel Live, discussing his performance. And noting that, Offerman, Jimmy Kimmel asked Offerman if he'd played any video games in real life. And Nick Offerman replied, no. 25 years ago, I played my last video game. I'm very indulgent, and I lost a couple of weeks to a video game called Banjo-Kazooie. 2 weeks went by, and I was like, oh my God, the slow dopamine drip is so delicious. Then it's over, and you're like, yes, I won. And immediately I'm like, what have I done with my life? And so I decided I'm never going to do that again. And thankfully, because games have gotten so good, like The Last of Us, that I think I'd be in a basement and I wouldn't be going to auditions for shows like this.
It's just a wonderful image to think of Nick Offerman in his early 20s playing Nintendo 64 and trying taking notes about what the witch says about the quiz show in the end and collecting the little musical notes. It's such a wonderful thing. I could just imagine that. It's so great. So yeah, I love every piece of this. I also 25 years ago played a lot of Banjo-Kazooie. I was 8. So
yeah, but that's also one of those rare games where everything was collect here, collect here, collect here, collect everything. So yeah, it's very easy to get into that collector mode.
Though I feel like what he's saying is very probably relatable for a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't play video games because they're like, oh, that would absorb my entire life.
Well, that's why I don't play certain video games because they do absorb my entire life.
That's why we don't play MMOs.
Yes.
They just eat us alive. But yeah, I thought this was funny. But yeah, just like the rest of us, Nick Offerman also played a lot of Banjo-Kazooie. Anyway.
Yes, and just like Nick Offerman, some of us are that into collectibles and gathering everything.
Yes.
Make sure we do everything in the game.
Exactly.
So that brings us to our thoughts on collecting and getting everything in the game.
Speaking of, I need to talk about Forspoken. So last week I hinted that a couple of video games were on the way to me, including Square Enix's Forspoken and EA's Dead Space remake. Well, Forspoken got here first, and I played 5 hours of it.
Only 5 hours?
Only 5 hours? Well, surprisingly, that's a third of the game. I looked it up, and apparently there's not a whole lot of game in Forspoken. It may be an open world, but it's only a 15-hour one.
Oh.
And I was like, oh. People were comparing it to Ghost of Tsushima, where it's an open world, but there's only really 4 places to explore. Mm-hmm. So it's not nearly as overwhelming as, say, an Assassin's Creed game. That being said, I now understand what Forspoken is, now that I've spent some time with it. I basically played enough of it to see more or less the mechanics of the game, how the combat is going to work, more or less what the story is going to be about, all the characters, and just to see whether or not this was something I wanted to spend more time in. So to rewind the clock a little bit, you played the demo.
The demo, yeah.
You kind of told me about your thoughts, and I agree with pretty much everything you said back then. Combat, it's fine. It's serviceable. I don't love it. And the main reason why I don't love it is because of the DualSense controller. Where you're like, wait, what?
Yeah, but that's the whole thing about being a PlayStation, though.
So, and I know I can turn this off, but I know that they designed it this way on purpose. It does the trigger thing where it kind of hardens the trigger and makes it so that way every single time you're throwing one of these rocks, you have to push it a little down. Well, the way that the main combat is designed is you're pressing that over and over and over again. Oh my God, my finger is so tired by the end of those levels, especially battles that take way too long to complete. It's literally, as you said pre-pod, it was just attack, 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 dodge, attack, 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 dodge, attack, 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 dodge. Oh my God. The most fatiguing combat in a video game I've played in a long, long time.
You did stream this game, and you voiced your frustration.
Oh my God, I streamed it, and I regret doing it because I don't know whether it was the game just not giving me anything to talk about, or whether I was just not, like, I just didn't have the energy, or maybe it's a combination of the two, but I had nothing to say about that game. It was go girl, give us nothing. It was the Dua Lipa of video games. But anyways, so there's so many things that ultimately, yeah, I'm probably not going to go back to Forspoken, but it's not just because of the gameplay. The main character is so boring and abrasive. Everything she said, they set her up to be a sympathetic character. You start with her in New York, and she's run into some gangs that want to beat her up, and she's in court because she's done some other yet another charge of burglary. She's stolen some shit. She's basically fallen on hard times. She lives by herself. I don't know how, in like a loft apartment that looks like she's sneaking into. She has a cat, but that's pretty much it. She has no friends. She has no money. She has no job. It's basically, you're supposed to feel bad for this girl. But then the rest of the game, and then of course, then she isekais, where she get this. She literally goes to I don't know if this was in the demo, so if it is, I apologize.
No, it just starts her already in the world.
Okay. Well, the scene that happens before she gets isekai'd, I laughed so hard. She's literally standing on top of a neon sign for a hotel that is called, get this, The Crossroads.
Oh, did my eyes roll? Wait, so she's literally... So
she's at the crossroads.
Your character, who is falling on hard times,
she's at the crossroads.
Is literally standing on a crossroads.
Because she has just run from the gang that's basically out to get her. And she's considering what she's going to do. Is she going to, say, jump off that sign and end herself? Or is she going to rebuild her life, start anew? She's literally at the crossroads. And then she sees the bangle, this cuff, that ends up being your sidekick. Oh God, I don't even want to get into that. And combat helper. And she finds that, puts it on, and gets portaled into fantasy world. And the rest of the game, you think, is like, oh, is this going to tie into that plot? Is this going to be her learning about herself? Is this going to be that kind of narrative here? Maybe kind of like a coming of age story with this character? Absolutely not, no. Because as soon as you're in the fantasy world, story turns gears and it's like, no, this is the fantasy story. We're just going to tell the fantasy story now.
You have to save fantasy world?
Yes, you are roped into saving fantasy world because you find a girl in town that vaguely reminds you of your own story. Oh, she was also a baby who was orphaned and abandoned when she was an infant. What do you know? What a coincidence! And stuff like that. And then that gives you a more or less impetus. Also, your cuff is yelling at you to do all this shit. And then you find out oh yeah, and there's 4 evil matriarchs basically that you have to kill. Like, okay, cool, I have a setup. And the rest of it is just fantasy world. And then I was like, okay, well, is this going to be like kind of a Final Fantasy setup? Is this going to be more like linear? No, it's an open world game. This I finally figured out what they're trying to do here. It's not what I thought it was going to be at all. this is just Square's Assassin's Creed. It's just Square making an Assassin's Creed in a very a smaller, lower budget shell. That's what this is. Because as soon as the game's like, finally, after hours, go and do whatever you want, go to the next thing on your map, it's literally just walking from icon on your map to icon on your map.
Going to parkouring.
Oh, the magic parkour. Don't even get me. I haven't gotten there yet either. But so my biggest problem with this game overall is that it's just designed so boring. Like you are literally just going from icon to icon on your map. It's very map vomit Assassin's Creed style where you just get these icons, you go to it, find out. Maybe it's a treasure chest. Maybe it's a specifically hard boss. Maybe it's a tower, basically a battle challenge tower where you're going from room to room to battle more increasingly hard enemies, which were super easy in my case. Or maybe it's an identical save building that are all made exactly the same. It's like this is this seems like such a high budget game. They spent a lot, presumably, on the world design here and the graphics, and there's a ray tracing mode that I tried out briefly. Kind of runs like shit. Performance mode kind of runs like shit. Quality mode doesn't run quite like shit, but still doesn't look that great.
Okay.
But yeah, it's like they spent money in this game in different places, but it doesn't look like they spent money on the actual design because it's so generic and so boring. And the combat's not interesting enough to keep you going that way either. There's too many things in your skill tree. There's but the one thing I want to talk about though, that on the positive side, if I'm going to say anything good about this game, even though that's true, there are some good ideas that are trying to burst through the sludge. I really like that the one time they actually keep in mind, oh, this is a modern protagonist in a fantasy world, is that your modern accoutrement, your accessories that you're basically putting on to buff yourself, they're fun fashion accessories. For example, it's a cloak, it's a necklace. Your nails, your patterns, your nail color is an actual buff for your stats. I thought that's a cool idea. I was like, okay, there's ideas here. There's something, and I like the idea of having somebody from modern Earth come into a fantasy world. I think that there's something fundamentally interesting that the game could have done way more with. There's a glint of something there. This game isn't it. This game holds back every good idea by making you slog through the actual practice of playing it. And the story's not interesting enough either to save you from feeling like it's a slog. I don't get it. And maybe it's a cultural thing. You can tell this is a Japanese studio trying to make it a Western game. Not only because they're imitating a Ubisoft style, but also in the way that it's the Japanese design ethos creep through every once in a while. I mentioned on the stream, or maybe I don't remember if this was the time where I was muted or not. But I mentioned on the stream that the cutscenes do the Kingdom Hearts thing, which is dialogue, pause. Dialogue, pause. Why? This is not naturalistic. This is not convincing. If you're trying to emulate a Western style, that's what you should be emulating. They should be watching Horizon, games like that, and taking notes on how they do their approach to narrative, their approach to character design, and their approach to narrative design. Because
open world as well.
If you compare 1-to-1, Forspoken looks like it's from 2 generations ago in the way that you're talking to characters. The facial animation is so stiff, the faces barely move. It's what's happening here? So yeah, if they're trying to emulate, the games they're trying to emulate do it so much better, and it's not interesting or novel enough to make it unique. So I don't know. I really didn't like my time with Forspoken. I'm not going to play any more of it. The Japanese press are loving it. Famitsu gave it 3 8s and a 9. I don't know. I give up. Honestly, Forspoken is baffling. I don't get how it became the thing it is. And yeah, it's just disappointing, and I don't get it. And I'm not going to play any more of it.
Is it too much game, but also not enough game?
It feels like that. It feels
there's a lot of side stuff to do. There's a lot of,
but they're not interesting.
Accoutrements, a lot of different spells to unlock.
Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff to do to make yourself better. but to get yourself better in between each game, or in between each, whether it's a battle or running around in the world, because that's one thing I noticed during the demo is that the world's pretty big, but it's also pretty empty.
A game that I thought about while I was playing it a lot is Borderlands 3. In a similar way, they are turn off your brain podcast games because the story's not interesting enough to keep you going, and the combat is just okay enough that if you want to grind on it, you can. It's fine. It's fine. I just didn't think it was interesting enough to keep me going. And I think a lot of people are going to find that way, especially if you're used to Western open world design. You're going to think that this is a lacking product in a lot of ways. So I don't know. That's my pass, basically. I'm going to say probably pass on Forspoken.
All right.
It's fine. But
well, I ended up catching up on a game.
Yes. Tell me about Marvel's Midnight Suns.
Yeah, I should probably specify that this is a Marvel game.
Yes. So this came out late last year.
Yes. It was in October.
This is from the people who brought you the XCOM series. This is for Axis.
Yep.
And this is kind of their take on Marvel strategy game, except not all the way XCOM. It looks like they did kind of an in-between thing here where there's a card game mechanic that is how you experience the strategy game.
It's how you experience the battles. You battle using the different cards. You move everyone around and do the different attacks.
Yeah.
It's very limited on the number of attacks you can do. Only 3 cards per round. And then you get attacked on, and then you have to do another 3 cards.
But I understand that's not the starring piece of this game.
Oh, no, it's not.
No. The reason why people really started loving this game has nothing to do with the strategy game. No, you're not here for the strategy game.
No.
You're here
to bang
because
Blade.
Well,
sorry, no. You can't be Blade. I'm currently going after Captain Marvel because Captain Marvel. Because why not? No, it's the interactions in between in your home world.
It's because basically they put on top of this a social link Persona / Fire Emblem style social link system thing where it's all about hanging out with the Marvel superheroes.
It is. There's plenty of room in your Abbey to have new heroes pop in and show up and kind of like move around and like meet up with them when you're not doing missions. In between going in and doing the actual card game fighting, you can either explore the grounds, which got a bulk of my time last night off stream, just running around because I got to the point where it said you don't have to go back to doing the main story. You can technically unlock everything here now. So I just was running around doing that, and I was like, "Ooh, this is the game I actually wanted, not the card-based fighting game." That being said, the card-based fighting game is actually really interesting. I actually kind of like it. It's my first time kind of playing in that style. There's a lot of good and bads to it. Bad being that you don't always draw your right cards.
Right.
So you have to kind of figure out, okay, based on what I have here, what can I do?
I've also heard that complaint,
but there is a reshuffle mechanic, so you can put your cards back in and then reshuffle new cards. But all your experience comes from just using the same people over and over again, which is both good and bad, because if you're just going to use the same people over and over again, you're going to be more buds with them. But when the game forces you to use other people, then you're like, oh, I don't really know either how this character works, so I have to read every single card again to figure out what it does instead of just rummaging through it like I was.
Yeah.
But at least, in that way, it does force you to into the other playstyles, into the other heroes.
Right.
But okay. What you said was just about the facial expressions not moving.
Yeah.
Same problem here, though.
I watched a little bit of your stream, and I actually thought it was this is not as bad as it could have been. I think, honestly, let's put it this way: the facial animation in Midnight Suns better than Forspoken.
Oh,
yeah.
I thought it was bad in Midnight Suns.
Let me tell you about Forspoken. Whoo! But anyway, I didn't think it was that bad looking at the footage that you put up.
Yeah. But I did like that it's taking a different approach from the MCU that we're used to, and even the comics that we're used to with X-Men and Spider-Man, animated series. That is focusing more on the mystical side of stuff. Anyone who's watched WandaVision or Scarlet Witch and all of that kind of has a general idea.
And the Doctor Strange stuff. largely is in that category, right?
Yes and no.
Okay.
He is technically in that category, but this game is not based solely around Doctor Strange.
And also,
it's based around characters of Sarah,
yeah.
Agatha Harkness, and Lilith.
Okay.
And you are the undead, or sorry, not the undead, the huntress of the daughter of Lilith to once again arise and kick the crap out of your mom.
Okay. Or son, right? Because you could probably choose gender here.
Yeah, or son.
Yeah. Okay.
I just went with girl because they were all girls. I'm like, hey, let's keep the girls going.
Yeah, go time. Okay. So how are you liking the social link stuff? Like hanging out? Does it feel good to hang out and basically just talk to the characters? Like, how's the writing here? Because you're doing so much of these conversations. Is it funny? Is it charming? Like, are you like enjoying that part?
It's funny enough because you're the undead, or like you're 2 centuries removed.
Yeah.
3 centuries removed from current modern day things.
Oh, so you're just listening to Tony Stark like say a bunch of shit at you. You're like pop culture references you don't get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like you're trying to watch a movie and be like, I have no idea what a Western is, but you make me watch a Western.
Like Blade's trying to get me to listen to Depeche Mode.
No, Johnny Blaze is trying to. No, not Johnny Blaze. What the hell is his name? Ghost Rider.
Ghost Rider guy.
Yeah. He's trying to talk to me about his car, but I only know the concept of a car.
Yeah.
I like my character doesn't know how to drive a car, but everything else does. Just the concept of a car is you get in it and you go.
How's it compared to? So you, one of your favorite games from 2 years ago was also a Marvel game with surprisingly good writing. How does this compare to Guardians of the Galaxy, writing wise?
I like the Guardians because it's more of a narrative-driven game,
right?
Whereas this, you have to find your narrative.
Yeah. You're right. This is less. This is hanging out.
It is hanging out. So yeah, it's a lot of running around, talking with people. Oh god damn, there's a lot of dialogue.
Yeah.
If you want to hear just constant, nonstop dialogue, you can. They've recorded every single line, just so much, all the different options, so much dialogue.
Yeah.
But I've also run into the morality system in this game. There's a morality system where you can connect with people and either choose the light side or the dark side. You can either be happy and helpful, but you can also be kind of a bitch to everyone.
Paragon or renegade, got it.
Yeah. But here's the thing though, like even if you do choose one side or the other, it doesn't always affect the characters as you want it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm going the light route. So like when I talk to Captain Marvel gets little hearts popping up everywhere because that's the light route. Then I go and talk with Magic, and every time I choose the light route, she's like, "Oh, negative hearts. I'm not your friend anymore. You're trying to do good stuff." I was like, "Ooh, are you like trying to tell me something here, or is this just you want me to like toe the line here?"
Yeah.
But can't wait for more heroes to join my Abbey. Like I said, I'm running around the grounds right now, trying to unlock everything. Just because the game, like, flat out just on the screen said, it could go and unlock everything. You don't have to continue with the story. I'm like, yes, I'll do that. And then about an hour into it, I was like, oh shit, what the hell am I doing? Am I actually playing this game, or am I doing the whole side quest thing?
That's a good question. I mean, it depends on, I guess, how long you want to keep this game. How much you want to. Are you going to see it through, you think?
Yeah, I'm going to go back and see it through.
All right, cool. So that's Marvel Midnight Sun. Sounds fun. Yeah, I've heard good things coming out of the last year. A lot of people really like that game.
Yeah, and you don't have to play on any hard difficulty. There's a story mode, so if you're not that in tune with the card combat,
you don't have to play a lot of it.
You don't have to play a lot of it. Yeah.
You're here for the conversations. It seems like more so.
Yes.
Cool. Well, that's awesome. Less than recommend and recommend is I think what we got this week. We split even here.
Split.
Next week, I will talk about Dead Space. It came in a little too hot this week for me. I got it after streaming days. So I will stream that for y'all on Tuesday. So watch this space. We'll talk a lot about Dead Space Remake next week.
Yep. And last thing, in terms of video games, Marvel Snap got a recent update.
Battle mode.
We can now battle against people.
Yes, finally.
Finally.
Yeah, well.
So if you jumped off that train, did you?
Oh yeah, I uninstalled it.
Oh,
like
damn
a month
it.
ago. I'm done. Well, it took a lot of space on my iPad. I had to get some space off, and I was like, am I realistically going to play this ever again?
Was my 1,000 like image just like?
Also, yeah, I was
image?
never going to get to the point where I was competitive with you. That's for sure. So no, it was never going to happen. Just, I like the concept of that game. It was just never something I was going to spend that much time with.
Yeah. It is a lot of grinding, but at least there's a lot of like little dopamines of, complete this mission.
Especially not in a world where Pocket Card Jockey is now on iPad.
Yes.
That's all I want to play.
But I don't have an
I know. You're missing out.
All right.
You're missing out. Just dig up your 3DS. All right.
No, I have the iPad back there. I just got to charge it. Maybe it's still have a charge.
Well, like I told you, I don't know if it's going to be compatible.
Yeah, I know.
So you might be out of luck. Anyway, let's move on and go to the second half of the show then and talk about television.
And we start television with
the Sports Corner. And of course, the big headline this week was the same big headline we've been hearing before from this guy.
Well, we saw this headline last year at this time as well.
Is he telling the truth this time? I think he is.
I think he is.
Tom Brady, some people think he's the greatest of all time when you're talking about football. I don't think I agree, but he is retired again. He is done with the game for reals this time, he says. We had all the big headlines, all the TV spots about how great his career was and how important he was as a player and all this stuff. Do you think he's really done?
Yes, because now that he's retired, he can go do what he actually wants to do.
Be in the booth.
Yeah.
Be in the booth.
$350 million for 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
Just to be Sunday in the booth talking about football.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame him. Also, he's getting older. He can't take those hits anymore.
Yeah. He wants to watch his son play football now.
Oh, Jesus.
Or so he says.
How much time has passed.
Yes.
But this is not surprising. He was going to do this eventually. I'm just surprised that last year's didn't stick.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's not really much of a story here. It's just, he's done.
Yep. With Tom Brady retiring, this is the week of the Pro Bowl. Right. I don't know if you watched any of the Pro Bowl skill stuff.
No.
Flag football game is tomorrow.
Okay.
Currently, AFC is in the lead over the NFC.
Yes.
And Derek Carr put on a quite a workout performance in the passing accuracy because he's no longer going to be on the Raiders next year.
Oh, boy. Well, while we're on the subject, we should say your Super Bowl has been decided.
Yes.
Your championship games happened last Sunday. I actually did tune in for a little bit of one of these games.
Mm-hmm.
I was texting you about it. It was the Niners. And
yes.
Yeah, and we were I think friend of the show Christy was baffled by how many quarterbacks can get injured before you run out.
Yes.
So we were fascinated by that for a little bit, but ultimately it was football and we decided to change the channel. We have our winners. The Philadelphia Eagles will be facing off Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
This is number one ranked.
Yes. Well, in both cases.
Yeah, both cases. I would say they're not definitely ranked, but best record in the NFC will face off against the best record in the AFC. Also, first time in NFL history, both starting quarterbacks are African American.
Cool, very cool. So the question is, what are you feeling? What do you think about this matchup? I'm afraid this is going to be a boring game.
Both defenses are pretty stout.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
it's going to be a low-scoring affair unless somehow Mahomes shows off.
Which he will, which is why I'm rooting for the Chiefs.
Yeah, he can. He's shown the ability that he can break through even the toughest of defenses. Yep. I think that, but again, that's kind of boring too in a way.
But the Chiefs win?
Yeah, I would love to see the Eagles put up more of a fight, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yes, but I don't want Eagles fans to win. They are so annoying.
Wow, okay. Shots fired.
I'd rather have the Chiefs win than the Eagles.
Hey, Taylor Swift is an Eagles fan.
Not on purpose.
She's got the Swifties behind her. Not on purpose. What does that mean? It's because she was born in Pennsylvania. Not on purpose. She was just born there.
Yeah.
Her Eagles t-shirt hanging from the door.
Yeah. You can't choose where you're born.
Anyways. So we'll see how that goes. Super Bowl is next Sunday.
Yes, not tomorrow, recording, but the following Sunday. The 12th? Yeah, 12th.
So tune in to that.
And then tune in after the Super Bowl for Gordon Ramsay's next level chef.
I'm good. I'll pass on that one. Let's move on to elsewhere in sports. In the baseball world, hey, it's that time again. It's time for the cover star of MLB The Show. The show 23 will come out later this year, I believe in March.
Yep.
And your cover star is none other than the Mariners' Jazz Chisholm Jr.
Is it the Mariners or?
I think he's a Mariner.
I thought he was a Ray.
I thought he was a Mariner. I could be wrong.
He's a fish team.
He's one of those. He's one of those.
Yeah, he's Marlins.
He's a Marlin. Never mind. I got the wrong M team.
Yeah, that's what I thought. He was Florida.
Yeah. Anyway, congratulations to Mr. Chisholm. I thought this was a neat pick. He's not necessarily one of the biggest stars in baseball, but he's an up and comer.
Yeah,
and I think that makes him a good pick for something like this. I think that this is cool, and also he's a young guy who brings a lot of energy, and I like that. I like that as an idea.
Yep.
So good pick.
He's still young. He's only been on the Mariners
or Marlins.
See, I just did
why I said that?
Yes.
Because they're similar in name.
Yes, he's only been on the Marlins for 2 years.
Right, too. Yeah. So cool. So like I said, also they confirmed that once again this will be coming to Game Pass.
Yes.
Day one, and once again, no PC version still. So even though they announced that part of this deal was the MLB wanted the show to be on PC.
He only played 60 games last year.
Wow. Well, I'm sure going into next year, maybe he'll play more. But yeah, basically, I thought it was a neat pick. But yeah, we'll talk more about the show probably when it comes out next month.
Yeah, Miami.
Meanwhile, in baseball news.
That was baseball news.
Well, no, there's something else here you have.
Oh, yes. So Red Sox manager Alex Cora is putting out a new book.
Mm-hmm.
A new book is coming out titled Winning Fixes Everything.
And if that title didn't already tip you off to the content of the book, it looks like he's just basically saying whatever the hell he wants to here. And in fact, even bragging about the 2017 Astros cheating scandal in which he was involved.
Yes, because following the Astros winning in 2017, Alex Cora then became the Red Sox manager in 2018.
Right.
While he was there as a Red Sox manager, he would frequently get drunk.
Yeah.
And then brag to anyone who would listen that, quote, we stole that effing championship.
Yeah. So, say what you will about what people say, especially under the influence of alcohol. Obviously that's not like evidence you can take to court.
Mm-hmm.
But what we can say is that sure sounds like somebody who helped a team cheat. And that sure does corroborate a lot of other evidence that we have that there was some sort of cheating happening there. So this is the continued story of Astros fans. Look at the proof out here. Just look at all of this. And then tell me if you still feel comfortable rooting for that team.
Well, it's not just that, but look at who's still hired by certain teams.
Right.
Like Alex Cora still being hired by the Red Sox.
I mean, honestly, though, shit like this never actually changes that kind of thing.
Well, because even after all this came out, that the only people who got anything were a couple of the managers were suspended for a year. Yeah, and that was it.
That was it. This is the baseball equivalent of O.J. Simpson's "If I Did It."
Yes,
that's basically what this is. Where it's just like, you're gonna put out a book that says basically this is exactly how this would have gone down.
Yeah,
and still, it's not going to change anything because they're just things that you can't do. That's not concrete enough for the league to actually take action for.
Right, but our whole thing about it is that because they cheated, everyone got paid, and the people who didn't end up winning, didn't get paid, didn't have their records like the Dodgers. Should have had a better record. Should have had a World Series.
As much as because you're right, it's a trickle down, right? Because you can say, oh, it was just a World Series for 1 year. But no, that's not how baseball works.
Mm-hmm.
Your performance directly affects how much money goes into your team. It also affects the standings of your division, which depends on how much money they put into their teams.
Mm-hmm.
If the other teams, basically, since we're in the same division, we can say this with confidence.
Yes.
The rest of the teams in the division have to then change to battle the strength of the Astros, and then that affects us too. Mm-hmm. So if one thing happens, if they cheat to win, and maybe continue to cheat to win, who knows? Then that affects the entire league at some point. That just, I don't know. It makes me mad.
Steroids. Oh, sorry.
It just makes me mad. Is all I have to say. Is like, yeah, it just pisses me off. The Astros piss me off. That's all. Anyways,
you want to know what pisses me off?
What?
Putting in a racetrack where a football stadium is supposed to be.
All right, tell me about the Clash at the Coliseum.
It's back.
It's back.
Yes, it happened last year. NASCAR is once again in Los Angeles, but since they can't race on the streets due to everyone else racing on the streets already,
right?
Also, LA traffic.
Yeah,
they are
there
racing within the LA Coliseum again. The Clash at the Coliseum Part 2.
Yeah.
Last year's winner, Joey Logano, went on to win NASCAR championship that year. So there may be a precedent of whoever wins tomorrow that they are now the front runner to win the entire thing.
Yeah, could happen.
And that's why I have money on Ross the Boss, Watermelon Man Chastain.
Yeah, always. You always have Mr. Watermelon.
Yes, the Watermelon Man brand is strong.
So yeah, I guess look forward to that. Question mark.
Yep.
All right.
And then lastly in sports, we mentioned that the Pro Bowl game is happening right now for football.
Yep.
NHL All-Star game is also currently happening for hockey.
We talked about that last week in anticipation of it. Other than that, yeah, that's pretty much sports. Anything else in sports happening right now? Oh, sports entertainment, the Royal Rumble happened. I'm sure you've got thoughts about that.
Yeah, we don't have to put that here.
We don't have to do that here.
Yes. The World Baseball Classic is quickly approaching.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how that is.
Yep. All pitchers and catchers that are participating in the World Baseball Classic will report on February 13th.
The interesting thing about this is that it has crossover with spring training.
Yes.
So that means that you will see, you won't see your star players potentially if they have, like in your spring training games, if they're at the World Baseball Classic. So I know for the Angels purposes, for example, Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani are both involved in this.
Yep.
So they probably won't be at a whole lot of spring training games.
Right.
To a certain time.
To a certain point. Yeah. Because they report on the 13th for the World Baseball Classic, whereas everyone else who's not in it reports on the 15th and 17th.
Which is the majority of the teams. It's just that, in our case, we just happen to have two of the best players in baseball that are going to be gone.
Yeah.
That's just what happens.
Oh, no, we might not win the Cactus League.
Although, I feel like maybe I don't even need to say of the anymore. I think we can just say probably officially those are the two best players in baseball.
Aaron.
Cram it, Judge.
He
shouldn't have won that MVP. I'm going to keep saying it. He shouldn't have won. Ohtani had a better season than his MVP season last year. Period. Look at the stats.
But he had the home run record. That's all anyone cares about.
The stats. It's
home run record. Home run record is all anyone cares about.
You're telling me.
Yes, I am telling you. I am telling you. Home run record is all that anyone cares about.
That's so disappointing. Speaking of disappointing.
Oh,
man, I can't wait till baseball season. There's so much we can talk about.
Yeah, so much to be disappointed about.
Yeah, so much to be disappointed about. All right.
First, let's get our disappointment over with the Super Bowl, and then we'll be disappointed with the baseball.
Yeah, disappointment in sports is a multi-step process.
Speaking of multi-step processes,
well, Netflix is in the news this week as we move into television news here. As well, your scheme that you're letting all your friends and family getting access to your Netflix account. Well, days maybe are numbered for that. At least in Netflix's case, they really hope so. They are/will/maybe, who knows, be cutting down on password sharing. Probably.
We kind of talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but some things came up that kind of made it more concrete.
Yeah, something actually happened this week and then quickly was removed.
Yes.
Netflix has basically was at some point this week posted on their official website a new password policy that would say basically you don't have in the story, but I'm going to basically say what it was.
The policy is that your home account needs to connect to your home Wi-Fi at least once within 30 days.
So basically, how they track that is from IP address. Is that they can identify the IP address says, okay, your device. Oh, it's by a device too.
Right.
So that your device basically pings and says, okay, cool, I'm at the billing address or the address that's associated with this account. We're good. And then you'll have another 30 days. The exception, of course, is if, say, your parents, who live in a different state, let's say, log in and their device pings, it's going to say, hey, wait a minute, this isn't the address that's associated with the account. And then will basically be blocked from using it going forward until it pings back into the location that it recognizes.
Mm-hmm.
There are exceptions to this. Apparently, there's a way to set up a guest 7-day pass. This is there, they said, for people who are like going on vacation and want to have their Netflix account in a hotel or something. So there are exceptions to this. It's not like hard and fast rule. And there are ways where they were even thinking about doing like, and they'll also get maybe like a coupon code to set up a cheaper account for themselves for like a month or so to give discount and incentivize them to make their own accounts if they're doing it, if they're using someone else's. Well, this was all up on their website and then mysteriously taken down. A Netflix spokesperson clarified that the new guidelines are not applicable to the United States quite yet. They said, quote, for a brief time yesterday, a Help Center article containing information that is only applicable to Chile, Costa Rica, and Peru went live in other countries, the spokesperson said, adding, we have since updated it. And by updating them, meant they just struck it from that section. They just took that stuff out. So,
but not before the internet got a hand on it.
So yeah, of course,
passed it around.
Spread fast on the internet, and this, of course, did. I think a lot of people being baffled by it. A lot of people saying you can just get around with it with VPN.
VPNs.
I don't think everybody's smart enough though to use a VPN. I'm even confused and baffled by how that's supposed to work. So I've never used one.
You just log in from your computer or your device.
Yeah, but
it's
so many devices
steps.
You need to worry about. That's why I'm like, I don't want to try it.
Yep.
So Anyway, so yeah, it's like it's complicated, and I think it's also dumb. Like whatever, people are always going to figure out a way to share it. Nothing like this is even going to stop it. So, but what it actually means from Netflix's point of view is no, they absolutely fully intend on putting this in the US as well. I'm sure that this is a plan that they have. I'm sure that this was just their excuse to be like, oh, well, this was kind of a PR nightmare for us. Let's maybe rework it, maybe think about it for another month and then reintroduce it.
And that's why Reed Hastings left as CEO.
Maybe it's probably part of it. He didn't want to be blamed.
Yeah.
But yeah, we knew this was coming. Now we at least know how they're going to implement it. And will it make a difference? And will it save Netflix? Absolutely not.
But what they are counting on saving Netflix is that you can now have your audio in spatial audio.
Yay?
Only for like the top tier pricing though.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm already paying that because I have a 4K TV, so
yeah,
I'll try it out. Yes. Take one for the team.
Only for limited selection of titles though. So
I mean, hey, I have a Dolby Atmos setup, so I can try it out.
I know it's set
I'll
up
let y'all
for
know.
you.
Just for me. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know what I would watch on Netflix to take advantage of that. Dolby Atmos at Gretzko. Let's do it. Anyways. All right. So that's Netflix. Let's move on to another streaming story this week. Paramount is making a major change to its linear and streaming businesses, merging Paramount Plus and Showtime in both areas. In connection with the changes, executives warned of likely layoffs and changes to programming to follow in the coming weeks. For starters, both the Showtime linear pay TV channel and the premium tier of Paramount Plus will be rebranded as Paramount Plus with Showtime. That's a terrible name.
Yeah.
Other changes like the pricing and plan for merging accounts for people with both Showtime and Paramount Plus will also come in the next few weeks. So my understanding is how this worked prior to this is Showtime streaming app was basically a separate thing.
It is.
And so as it stands now,
you could have gotten it on any other streaming like Hulu, Prime, Apple.
Yeah, as like an add-on.
Yes.
This will remove that. This will basically lump it in with Paramount Plus. You'll just have one place that you can log in to get all of that content.
Yep.
I think that we're probably 3 months away from them just taking out the with Showtime part altogether and just having a Showtime like section in Paramount Plus.
Like they should.
They should have just done that, but I don't know why. Maybe they think they have too much faith in the Showtime brand, which I don't think anybody does.
Yeah.
So as somebody who recently got hands-on Showtime content, how do you feel about this?
Well, with this recent merger, it means you can watch two of the best films from last year on one network if you want to pay for Paramount Plus.
They've got Marcel Michel's shoes on?
Yes.
You said the best movies.
Well, they have that. They also have Everything Everywhere All at Once. And they have Top Gun Maverick.
Hey, there's no accounting for taste.
But there's accounting for box office receipts.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's a good move. I think just streamlining it, making it easier, especially in a world where nobody under 50 cares about Showtime.
Right. It's more consolidation than anything.
Yeah.
Why they never did this in the first place is once again why they ever went with CBS All Access.
All right. Who knows, honestly.
Just people up top thinking they know what brand is more popular than the others.
Yeah. All right. Well, that does it for television news.
Just some quick short bits for TV there.
Yeah, we got speaking of real short thoughts here. Didn't really watch a whole lot of TV, except for a couple things. I just remembered something else, but I don't need to actually talk about it. Christy and I decided to jump on the Bachelor train. This is why I texted you about this. Turns out the Bachelor this season is from fucking Anaheim Hills. And so I was like, that's hilarious.
Well, he went to Servite.
Yeah, well, nobody's for.
Yeah, so when he took me that, I'm like, what?
Well,
my neck of the woods.
So yeah, Christy brought this up because there was a bit in the second episode where he took his date to his house, his parents' house.
Yeah.
And I was like, that looks like a familiar cul-de-sac.
Really?
I was like, wait, I feel like I've been here. And then she said, oh, well, he's from like Anaheim Hills. I was like, he's from what? And yeah, I Googled it. And I was like, oh, I got him text Mike. Not to dox your family or anything, but anyway.
No, that's fine.
Anyway,
I'll dox it myself.
You live at. No, so yeah, I thought that was funny. I don't know. It's silly. Like I
you realize the Bachelor and Bachelorettes are silly.
Yeah, the whole thing is silly.
Yes.
But yeah, we'll see how far we get into that season. It's ridiculous. But no, what we really want to talk about is Celebrity Jeopardy.
Yes.
Or as Christy and I call it, thanks to a TikTok we saw, Celebrity Jeopardy.
Celebrity Jeopardy.
Celebrity Jeopardy is finally ended this week. We had our final, which, spoiler alert, was between Patton Oswalt, Ike Barinholtz, and who am I
Will
missing?
Wheaton.
Will Wheaton. Yes.
Will Wheaton.
Exactly. Yes, that's the joke. And we have our big finale. Ike Barinholtz only won by $1.
Yeah, surprise Patton Oswalt.
Barely didn't win.
Didn't win. Yeah, I was surprised by that.
Hey, Patton Oswalt is always surprising here in the Media Bowl podcast.
Well, he did hit 2 daily doubles back to back.
Did, and bet it all.
Yes.
Almost. Well, he didn't bet it all the second time. If he should have. He should have, because he would have won.
Yes.
Well, maybe not, because the thing with Ike's bet is that he didn't bet it all. That he could have bet more. He chose not to.
Right.
He just bet enough to do $1 above Patton's.
He did the math.
Yeah, he did the math.
Yeah, but no, he also got the 3rd daily double in the triple double match.
Triple Jeopardy.
Triple Jeopardy, whatever.
So overall, I think I've settled what my thoughts are about the division now between the primetime stuff and the television stuff.
Yes.
I think they should keep it. Ken Jennings does daytime, and what's her name?
Mayim Bialik.
Mayim Bialik sticks to the more loose primetime shows.
Yeah.
Because I think that she works when she can bounce off of the other comedians. Mm-hmm. She's an actor, she's a comedian. Makes sense when she has that dynamic. Ken couldn't do it the same way. I feel like Ken is better suited in the traditional Jeopardy role. So fingers crossed that they keep it this way and they don't bring Mayim back to the daytime.
I mean, they will when Ken needs a break.
I guess so, but I'm hoping that they don't.
Yes.
So we'll see. But I think that's where I'm at right now with the division of.
That's kind of where they settled at as well. That
Mayim
Bialik would do the prime time kind of specialty of it.
Yeah, I think she's best set for that kind of thing. Anyway, but either way, it was a fun time. It was a good little distraction. And yeah.
Yep. My doctor actually liked Celebrity Jeopardy because she actually knew most of the categories.
Oh yeah, no, it's so much easier.
It's so easy.
It's so much easier than regular Jeopardy. Oh my god. Anyway.
Then did you end up finishing Poker Face?
So finishing, we haven't watched Thursday's episode. So I'm caught up except for the most recent.
Okay.
We watched the first drop of 4.
All right. So you watched up to the heavy metal one.
Yes, and it continues being really strong. I loved every single episode of that thing. I really liked the formula. It is a little formulaic. I think by episode 4, I was like, okay, I get the exact structure of these scripts.
Yeah.
Which, of course, it's designed to be that way. And I'm maybe hoping that maybe as the series goes on, and I think the preview maybe hints at this, that it'll get a little less predictable and there'll be more kind of hooks reminding you of the overarching plot.
Mm-hmm.
But I still enjoy it, and I still think the things on the fringes are still creative enough, and they're having fun with the setups that I still enjoyed every single one. The guest stars are always routinely wonderful, and I like that the setting changes so drastically each episode. Yeah, no, I still think it's an excellent show, and I'm really enjoying watching it. But yeah, it's becoming more of a formula as it goes on.
Were you able to get Christy on board?
Oh yeah, no, Christy and I are watching together, and she loves it.
Okay, I only asked because you said she fell asleep the first time.
Yeah, no, I think that I think it was really just Adrian Brody's long ass speech.
Oh, okay.
I think the rest of it she's been more engaged in because it's less. Also, that first episode really took its time.
Yeah,
because there was a lot to set up.
It was also an hour and a half compared to
exactly.
an hour like everything else.
So that I think helps is that these are a little bit more snappy, especially with how it's set up. It's like, okay, let's set everything up. The crime happens, and then you finally get to okay, Charlie woke up. What are we gonna do now?
Yes.
What's she up to? So yeah, it's been fun. I really enjoy it.
Yes. Doctor's also been watching it and enjoying it. By the third episode, the barbecue one.
Yeah.
She was trying to figure it out by the time, like halfway through, like in the beginning, she was like, "Oh, I bet that's how that happened.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet that's what that happens. Oh, I know she's into it now."
Yeah, it's really fun to just like take mental note of every single thing that happens because you know that she's gonna notice every single little thing, and it's going to
bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. Like she's gonna like take note, like even the smallest little things she's gonna notice, and it's going to go to her figuring it out.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's like a little puzzle box every week. Well, from now on, I guess. Yeah. Excited to have that as a weekly show now.
Yep. Every Thursday.
Yeah, cool. Anything else, Stevie? I mean, we already kind of more or less talked about The Last of Us. This week was a very special episode. Just watch it. Just trust me. I'm not going to tell you anything.
It got review bombed hard because it was that good.
Yeah, exactly. You should know at this point that if that happens, then people are just being dumb. Yeah, it's really good. It's interesting because of how different it was from the rest of the series. It was the
first break from what the video game did, and made it its own episode.
Yeah, but I feel like it still worked. I'm starting to develop my feelings overall about this further, and I'm still where I was. I still stand by what I said last time, which is it might be a better television show than a video game. I'm gonna wait until it's over and see how they do the ending, because that's especially interesting with how they do the ending. I'm gonna see. We'll see what happens. But like, where am I right now? I don't know. I feel like this television show is proving that maybe this always should have been a series. But,
hey, I mean, who was going to give Neil Druckmann $100 million to develop it?
Hey, now he's earned it. Now he can do something else.
Yep.
All right.
He had to make that money on his own 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And then re-release it again. And then re-release it again within 10 years.
Yeah, it's interesting recontextualizing that the story of this game also post an actual pandemic.
Yes.
I thought about that a lot with this episode as well, where I'm like, oh, it's very interesting too. When they wrote this in 2013, like their base story for this, they didn't know this was actually going to happen, or like a version of this.
Yes.
Not nearly as bad, but a version of this was actually going to happen in real life.
I did see one thing online that people need to, when the pandemic happened, or around when the pandemic happened, when the Last of Us happens, that happens in 2002.
Right.
And the world is different from where it was.
Oh, yeah.
Especially starting in this episode, because gay marriage wasn't a thing.
Right,
yet.
Yeah. No, that's a good point.
I had to be reminded of that. That's only been around since 2004.
Right, yeah. It's hard to remember that, or hard to recall that even here in California, which seems like it's very progressive, we're still dealing with Prop 8 in 2008.
Yep.
As late as that, we were still trying to deal with bullshit like that. So, yeah. Anyway.
And I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see like all the different technology that hadn't progressed in, like zero definitions of a Blu-ray at all in that universe.
No HD television. No, nothing, none of that.
Yep. Don't show me no flat screens out there.
Yeah, they didn't have them. Well, I mean, they had like those big chunky ones.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right, let's move on into cancellations and renewals.
Yeah. So what am I no longer watching?
The Mysterious Benedict Society. Oh boy, are you excited? I'm sure. Is canceled after 2 seasons on Disney Plus.
It should not have gotten the second season.
Yeah, you were right. They finally realized. They finally listened to the podcast and was like, you know what? He's right.
Yes.
Meanwhile, on Stars, Power Book 2, Ghost, gets a 4th season.
Mm-hmm.
Acapulco on Apple TV Plus gets a 3rd season. American Gigolo, canceled after 1 season on Showtime. Let the Right One In series, canceled after 1 season on Showtime. 3 Women, canceled after 1 season on Showtime.
Yeah, I think that was all a part of the merger.
Yep, that makes sense. Hulu, this was a sad one for you. It
Yes.
was on your top 5 this
It
year.
was number 5, but yes, still made it.
Hulu's reboot will not be rebooted. Canceled after 1 season.
Yeah.
They are shopping it around, though, so
Yep.
we'll see if that gets picked up somewhere else. I have my doubts.
Yes. Wow. And
I'm sure it's not the
my
cheapest.
doubts.
I'm sure it's not the cheapest show.
It's got some big names on it.
Yeah, Paul Reiser. Paul Reiser, he demands a certain level of quality. Kindred canceled on FX after 1 season. La Brea on NBC, a hit for them, gets a 3rd season.
Where can they go? It's already a mystery.
More tar. Hulu is finally confirmed that they are greenlighting the reboot of King of the Hill, so it will return soon.
Yep, this is of course a year
season
after the Mike Judge animation studio Bandera,
right? Yes,
was announced.
Oh, and yeah, also follows in the footsteps of the popular Beavis and Butthead reboot.
Yep.
So yeah, so there you go.
Yep. So I mean, we kind of called this. They had to be doing this.
Oh yeah, no, it was due. It was going to happen.
Yeah, but yeah, Hulu has put a full series to order now.
Yes. Meanwhile, also on Showtime, Dexter: New Blood, which I guess is a spinoff of Dexter, canceled after 2 seasons.
It wasn't a spinoff; it was the continuation.
Oh, okay.
Like 10 years after Dexter ended. Cared. For 2 seasons, no one cared.
Yeah. Prime Video renewed the Terminal List for a 2nd season. Paramount Plus is bringing back Transformers: Earthspark for a 2nd season.
Yes.
NBC has now said the Blacklist's 10th season will be its last.
And that will air later this year. No confirmed date on when that will occur.
There you go. HBO Max has canceled Pennyworth after 3 seasons. I assume that this has to do with them rethinking all of the Batman stuff.
Yes, which we will get to in movies.
There. Yes. The Cleaning Lady on Fox has been renewed for a 3rd season.
Mm-hmm.
Kingdom Business on BET Plus has been renewed for a 2nd season. Peacock, I guess they didn't listen to your podcast last week, is bringing back The Traitors for a 2nd season.
Well, that's okay. Just like the Mysterious Benedict Society, it will be canceled after a 2nd season.
Hulu has confirmed there will be a 2nd season of Marvel's Hit Monkey.
Yeah.
Sure.
With Jason Sudeikis as the Hit Monkey.
Why not? And then on CBS, So Help Me Todd gets a 2nd season. And that Night Court reboot will get a 2nd season.
Yeah, that's on NBC.
That's on NBC. Sorry. Yes, you're correct.
Yes.
Regardless, they both seem like the same thing to me. I don't care.
Yes.
So there you go. Sitcoms coming back. Then we have a couple of deaths here, 3 deaths. First up, Lisa Loring, age 64. Actress, was in The Addams Family, Blood Frenzy, and As the World Turns.
The original Wednesday Addams.
There you go. Annie Wershing, age 45. Actress, was in 24, The Last of Us, Runaways, and Bosch. Not the current running The Last of Us I want to mention here.
Yes.
She was the voice and motion capture actress for Tess in the video game.
Yes, the 2013.
Yes.
2013?
Yes, 2013. Yeah. So yeah, and the original Tess.
Yes.
So yeah, that's a sad one. Age 45 is very young. And then lastly, Barrett Strong, age 81, a singer. Money, That's What I Want.
Money.
That's what I want. And songwriter, I Heard It Through the Grapevine and Popular to Rolling Stones. So yes, a Motown staple.
Yes.
Lost at 81. So there you go.
Strong.
Let's move on to the last section of the show today, movies. And we always start the movie section with the weekend box office numbers. No surprise here. Quiet box office week again with number 1, Avatar: The Way of Water, making another $16 million. That's at 620.
That did pass Star Wars Force Awakens.
Yep.
So it's now number 4 of the top 5.
I believe you're right.
Yeah.
Number 2, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, still hanging out. $10.5 million. That's at 140. Number 3, Pathan.
Pathan?
I don't know. $6.8 million debut. And then your number 4, Man Called Otto, still here, $6.6 million. That's at 45 domestic. And M3gan, $6.2 million, 82 total for M3gan. In case you're wondering about Fear, debuted $1.2 million, way down at number 12.
Womp womp.
Wah, wah. This week, new releases. Well, not much. If you want to see Titanic again, James Cameron's got your back. There'll be a 25th anniversary screening at certain theaters, I believe.
Yeah, 25th anniversary of the film's release,
Yes.
not of the Titanic.
No,
sinking.
Right, obviously. A lot longer than 25.
Yes.
Yeah, 25th anniversary of Titanic, the film. And then something called Consecration, which appears to be a horror movie.
It's a horror movie. It's a horror movie set within a church setting.
Hey, what do you know?
Another one of those.
Another one of those. But those are new releases this
Well,
week.
that's also because it's no, it's not even Super Bowl weekend.
No, it's not. It's just that still. It's,
Wait, no, it will be. Yeah, because that's next week. Next week will be Super Bowl.
Oh, you're
weekend.
right.
That's why it's
no one's
Titanic
leaving.
and Consecration.
No one's leaving their house.
Nope, everyone's planning for a Super Bowl.
Yes. Well, speaking of planning, James Gunn isn't planning for the Super Bowl, but what he is planning, though, is the future of DC universe.
Technically, he's planning for the Super Bowl because I'm going to have to assume that The Flash
it has to be, right?
Has to have a Super Bowl spot.
It has to, unfortunately. So, yes, this was the biggest news in movies this week. This was also something long awaited. James Gunn has been expected to make this announcment for a while, ever since he was given the reins.
Yep.
Well, he's finally announced the slate of upcoming films as co-head of DC Films.
Film/TV shows, as we'll get into it.
Yeah, the whole universe of things.
Yes.
This starts with the upcoming Flash film and establishing DC Elseworld for DC projects that are not part of the main DCU. This basically gives them excuses to say, oh, well, this stuff also exists in this, but it's a different continuity.
It's kind of like how Marvel does the what if.
Yeah, but if the what if stories were full-fledged films or television.
Yes.
It just gives them an out. This is smart because you are going to have creatives who are going to want to tell different stories.
Right.
So these Elseworld projects will include the already filmed Shazam! Fury of the Gods, Blue Beetle, and Aquaman and the Last Kingdom.
Unless they do really well.
Yes, as well as the already announced film for the Batman 2, starring Robert Pattinson. J.J. Abrams' Black Superman, and Joker 2, starring Joaquin Phoenix. As well as any animated DC shows, like the currently still running Teen Titans Go, and of course, Harley Quinn on HBO Max.
Yes, it's important to note that he is lumping in the animated shows as well.
Going forward,
because he announced that any animated projects that they're going to do, they want to hire voice actors who can play the live action version of them as well.
Yes. So what we know so far is what he's referring to as Chapter 1 for the proper new DCU.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, not phase, chapter.
Yes.
Smart. Chapter 1 will have a title, Gods and Monsters. And like you said, will span both TV and films. I want to note here also video games. He says that video game projects also moving forward will be in the same continuity unless otherwise stated.
But there were no video games announced during this Chapter 1?
Because after every video game podcast I listened to this week said the same shit, which is, this is a tricky thing for him to say, because as much as he'd want this, video game development takes a whole lot longer than television and movie development. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be way harder for that to be as linked as he'd like it to be.
Yes, but what I think he's meaning is video game companions. Like, for example, you put out a video game prequel that establishes a kind of backstory to your main villain. That way, when they get introduced either down the line or as like the ending of a phase, like a Thanos style, you already have kind of that background in the video game.
Maybe something like that.
Yeah.
Regardless, interesting, I thought, as like a little asterisk there. So anyway, your TV shows will include Creature Commandos, Waller, Lanterns, Wonder Woman Paradise Lost, and Booster Gold.
It's not technically titled Wonder Woman. It just takes place in Wonder Woman universe.
So it's got that title.
Yeah, Paradise. The actual title is Paradise Lost, but not to be confused with
At Paradise Lost.
At Paradise Lost. It's based off of the Wonder Woman Themyscira.
Aha.
Lanterns is about the Green Lantern Corps. James Gunn said that This will be True Detective in space.
Okay, all right.
And we'll tie into the larger main themes of Gods and Monsters.
Okay.
Waller, once again, bring back Viola Davis as the only continuity rolling over.
That's funny.
As Amanda Waller. And Creature Commandos, which is going to be an animated show about the different creatures of the night teaming up together. It's a weird one.
All right.
So basically, whatever Universal was supposed to do with their Dark Universe.
Yeah, this is that.
This is that.
Basically, except in DC.
Yes.
Okay, fair enough.
And then Booster Gold is Imposter Syndrome. He's a man from the future with future tech who goes back in time to current day.
Got it.
And just blows everyone's mind because he has future tech.
Right. Fair enough.
Voiced by Jeremy Piven in the animated series.
Oh, but probably not here.
No, definitely not here. I just thought that was a fun fact to throw into there.
Then as for films moving forward, we have Superman Legacy, The Authority, The Brave and the Bold, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, and Swamp Thing.
That's right. There are two different Superman, two different Kryptonian stories being told.
Yeah.
Superman Legacy has the date of 2025.
Okay.
James Gunn is currently working on the script. No one has been cast as Superman yet.
Well, we'll see.
But will be soon. I expect that announcement by the end of the year.
Okay.
If they especially want to keep that 2025 release date. The Brave and the Bold is the Batman film, separate from Robert Pattinson.
Okay.
And Matt Reeves' The Batman 2, whatever that is going to be. Brave and the Bold is going to be Batman and his son, Damian Wayne, not the comedian.
Yeah, Damian Waynes.
Yes. Damian Wayne, who dad is Batman and mom is Talia al Ghul.
Okay. Got it.
So yeah, they have a kid together, and that's Damian. And now it's going to be Batman basically training Damian to be his new Robin.
Oh, so Batman Beyond.
Not quite, because that was Terry, and that was
whatever.
That was using Batman's blood to make a clone.
Whatever. I don't know that shit.
That's what I'm telling you. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow is going to be separate from the DC,
right.
The Flash series Supergirl. More of a hardened Supergirl story.
Okay.
Swamp Thing is technically a Nexus event, crossing over, where things that happen in the swamp is kind of leads to all Elseworlds out there.
Right.
And then the Authority.
Yeah, what's the Authority?
It is Suicide Squad if they are always in the right and not technically villains.
Okay.
It's the best way to describe it is Jack Nicholson from A Few Good Men.
Okay.
That's how James Gunn described it.
All right.
Where they will do the questionable things to get the better results.
Okay. Kind of an ends don't justify the means. Do justify the
ends
means.
Justify the means.
Got it. All right.
But they're built out of a eclectic collection of different super powered heroes that nobody's really heard of.
Got it. Okay. So, as someone with more comic book knowledge than me, is this exciting, especially considering that at least there's a direction here, unlike before?
That's probably the most exciting part, is that at least there's a direction here. And it's pulling in from some of the weirder DC stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely places I didn't think they would go.
But that's also kind of what Marvel did with making Iron Man kind of the focal point.
It was a risk back then. Yeah, it feels safe.
Focal point.
You're right. It feels safe now, but it was a risk. You're right.
Yeah.
Focusing on those heroes instead of just immediately, there were legal reasons why they could do this, but immediately going back to Spider-Man.
Right, Spider-Man or Fantastic Four or any X-Men.
It also reminds me of kind of the risk that they took with Guardians of the Galaxy, right?
Yeah.
And that was James Gunn too. It was let's take this crew of superheroes that most people aren't familiar with and make them household names.
Well, don't forget, they were trying to get Edgar Wright's Ant-Man going since 2006 before it finally...
Yeah.
Well, he was booted off the project.
Yeah, it ended up being his thing anymore.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's Tim Gunn. Jesus.
Wow. James
Gunn. Yeah, they have to do a fashion show in the middle of it. No, James Gunn, you're right, following the template that he helped Marvel accomplish.
Yes, but either way, Tim Gunn or James Gunn, he's going to make it work.
Exactly. All right.
Yeah. So it is exciting because it is very different, especially coming from Marvel.
It's not what I expected.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that's what most people are excited for, is that it's going to be so different, but the promise of continuity, I think, is what most people are going to be excited for.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Let's move on, though. We have one more television story to wrap up the day here. Or television, Jesus. Film story to wrap up the day today. We have another biopic, another music biopic on our hands.
What?
This one is about none other than the controversial Michael Jackson. Director Antoine Fuqua, Training Day, Emancipation, among other things.
Well, Training Day, but that was also like 20 years ago.
Yes.
Still trading off that name, by the way.
Has signed on to direct Michael, a biopic on the singer Michael Jackson, from screenwriter John Logan, who wrote Skyfall and Rango. Rango.
Yeah, and technically he also wrote Gladiator.
Oh, sure, yes.
But yeah.
And produced by Graham King, who produced Bohemian Rhapsody.
Biopic extraordinaire.
There you go. The King of Pop will be played by the late icon's 26-year-old nephew, Jafar Jackson. The singer and songwriter is the son of Jermaine Jackson, who, of course, is the brother of Michael and a member of the Jackson 5. Early reports are that the film will not shy away from the controversies of Jackson's life. The pedophile accusations that, of course, haunted his latest years, up to his death in 2009 at age 50, from cardiac arrest caused by a cocktail of sedatives. We all know this. We all lived through it. Fuqua is
not all, but yes.
Yeah. I don't think any 13-year-olds are watching this.
But they will be watching the Michael Jackson film when it comes out.
Fuqua is currently finishing The Equalizer 3 with Denzel Washington in Italy. Wow. And then he will turn his attention to this one. Production will begin later this year, and we've heard that Fuqua will draft his Emancipation and Equalizer 3 cinematographer Robert Richardson to be by his side. So they're bringing in some big guns here, some talent coming into this project. And it is heartening, I think, if you're going to tell the story, to tell all of it and not sugarcoat it. And I really hope that that's the direction they take here.
The Jackson estate is going to be involved,
which worries me,
on the music selected, though.
Yeah, I mean, of course, because of course that's the part that they care about the most.
Right.
They're going to want, if you're going to make this, you have to have all of the music. You have to get all of it, because otherwise this is not the story.
Right. Well, I mean, we just saw with Elvis how they used the music throughout the film.
You got to do it. You got to do it. Just like Bohemian Rhapsody did it.
Yep.
Like, I think there are ways that this could be good. It just depends on, again, that accuracy, how close they are going to get to the accusations, the controversy, the complicated life that Michael led. I think overall, looking at it as a package, it's a dark story. It's a really dark story with moments of huge success and stardom and celebrity that's peppered throughout with some really messed up stuff.
It does seem like they're going to swing big here, especially with Antoine Fuqua.
I'm sorry? Huh? Antoine what?
Huh?
What?
Fuqua?
Fuqua, yes.
Yeah. As director, he doesn't shy away from the harsh scenes.
I hope that's the direction they take it.
See Training Day and Emancipation.
Yeah, I think if they do it right, this could be good.
Yes.
I'm depending on the involvement of the family.
Cautiously optimistic.
That's the way I feel about this.
All right.
Cool. Any movies to talk about this week? Any thoughts about filmed entertainment? Did you watch any of the other Best Picture nominations?
No, I know we said we're going to talk about Tar, and
no, we didn't. Neither of us watched it. Well, that's because Poker Face is the thing I watched on Peacock this week.
Oh, it is, yes.
So we did not have time. It's an investment. Every movie is like 2 hours now. You have to carve out so much time to watch movies.
And we also have some time before actual Oscars take place.
Yeah, we have a month or so, but still.
Yep.
Still, I mean, with every weekend being something, it's going to be difficult, but we'll see where we get. My local art theater we drove past it yesterday, and they are playing Women Talking there. So I told Chrissy, if we want to see it, it's there. And she's like, So I don't know if we're actually going to go leave our house to see Women Talk, but we'll see. Yeah. All right.
All right.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean, we are in February.
Yeah.
So we have Grammys, we have Super Bowl, we have
Yes.
Valentine's Day coming up, but
Busy times.
just around the corner, in 1 month, is March,
Yes.
and that's when everyone gets mad.
Yes.
Because we get into bracket season.
Well, I guess we should probably talk about that at some
March Madness brackets are right around the corner.
Yes.
College basketball is on every weekend and pretty much every day now. For those of you turning into sports, you can watch it. Otherwise, you can wait to see who wins their championship, because March Madness brackets will happen at the end of February into March. But we, here at the Media Boat Podcast, do our own brackets.
Yes, we do. We have not talked about what we're going to do this month or this year, but perhaps we should talk about it. And
we will talk about it. We'll get ideas.
If you have any pitches,
but that is coming up soon.
So stay tuned for more information on that. In the meantime, hey, that's it for the Media Boat Podcast this week. Thank you for joining us. As always, we are on YouTube. If you search Media Boat Podcast, live every Saturday. If you want to watch us live, hey, click subscribe on our channel. Click the bell for notifications when we do go live. And hey, on that channel, you can also find an archive of our older shows if you want to see them in video form. If you'd rather listen to audio, say while playing something like Forspoken, you can do that by listening to us on podcast services such as Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. We're there. Search Media Boat Podcast. That's also where you'll be able to catch our March Madness series, where we'll do those on our podcast feed. So keep an eye out for that. You can also find us on our website, mediaboatpodcast.com, where all of that and more goes up every week. So stay tuned to that. You can find us on Twitter at MediaBoatCast is our handle there. Facebook, Media Boat Podcast, search that, find our page. You can email us also if you have questions, comments, things you want us to know. That's mediaboatpodcast@gmail.com. If you ask us a question, we will read it live on air. So, hey, send your questions in. And then lastly, we'll be playing video games every once in a while on twitch.tv/mediaboat. You can go on there right now to see archives of both Mike playing some Midnight Suns and me playing some Forspoken. And then this Tuesday, like I said, tune in for some Dead Space on Tuesday there.
Dead Space the game, not just Dead Space on Twitch.
Hey, maybe depending on how technology shakes out, there might be some of that too. So those are the things to find us, and you can find us next week here to talk about all sorts of things. Like
we'll talk about the Grammys winners. We'll talk about
Dead Space.
We will give our actual Super Bowl predictions.
Yes.
What we expect to see is in terms of commercials, in terms of what we expect for movie trailers.
Yeah.
Big show next week. All of that and more.
So stay tuned. We'll be back next time. See you then.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
How do we still end up going 2 hours?
It's that time of year.
It is.
That time